Nathan here with Back to the Frame Rate, here to tell you about an upcoming event that not only are we ecstatic about, but we think you'll be too. We're about to reach our 100th episode, and we want to celebrate it with our friends and fans. So come on out to the Back to the Frame Rate 100th episode spectacular, where we're screening the 1999 sci-fi comedy classic Galaxy Quest, followed by the actual recording of our 100th podcast in front of you, a live studio audience where we'll have a ton of fun talking about the film, but the most important aspect is you. We need you there to share your opinions, your stories, and your questions so that you are part of the podcast recording and thus part of podcast history. This is a completely free event. All ages are welcome. We've got special guests lined up, prizes to give out, and free popcorn, snacks, and water. So come on down Friday night, January 10th, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Weston Art and Innovation Center in Weston, Massachusetts. Geek out with us and make our 100th episode one to remember.
In the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Join us as we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms, deliberating on whether each one is worthy of salvation or destined for destruction in the face of the impending asteroid apocalypse. You can find more episodes of this podcast on backtotheframerate.com, where you can subscribe and share our show, and find us on our socials at Back to the Frame Rate. I am Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens Brianna Butterworth and Sam Cole.
Hello.
Bert.
And I'm Ernie.
Yeah, I was about to, that sounded just like, yeah. Or Bert, I don't know what. Very, very cute, Sam. Well, if you're tuning in, you're here for our October wrap-up, our award show of our Gothic Retrospective,
Ooh.
Gothic Horror Retrospective. This has been, we're going to summarize our thoughts on the month that was. And after that, we're going to give out some awards for these three films and talk about some of the other films that we've seen this October and look into the future, what we're most looking forward to in November. So we got a packed episode here tonight, and let's get right to it. So first of all, October, our Gothic Horror Retrospective was our retrospective this past month. This was interesting. This was fun. And the movies we watched, let's see, we had Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street from Tim Burton. We followed it up with Angel Heart from Alan Parker from 1987. And we recently did our review of Crimson Peak from Guillermo del Toro. Came out in 2015. Any general thoughts on this retrospective to share?
Good month. I liked it.
It was a spooky month filled with spooktacular imagery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was into it. I thought it was really fun. It was campy and fun. And, I love to watch horror movies. I like everyone, especially love to watch them in October. And it was fun to hone in on a specific niche of the horror genre.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I had a good time with these two. I will say that these three films, one of these I did say I did give a pass to put into our vault, which was Sweeney Todd. And I kind of, this is funny to say, I have had some regrets, I think, since that day. I enjoyed these films. I didn't love love any of these three movies, but I think there are parts of these that were really well made. I did kind of make a little list of things that were common themes among these three films, which was interesting. And I think these are just kind of happy accidents. All three films, I was very underwhelmed with the villain's overarching plan, which is interesting. I found the journey that our protagonists went on more interesting than the resolution of these three films. And all three films had characters who are haunted by their past, which I think was a cool theme. And they all included a doomed romance, which was something that I did not expect in this. But so
it's like anything else. Horror has its tropes.
Yeah. So Gothic Horror Awards. We do this at the end of every month, looking back at our retrospective. We've got some new categories this month and some of our old favorites. B, I know you love. So,
oh my gosh,
let's get to it. And we always love to do this. You know, we always have like best villain, but this one we're changing it. Our first category is most diabolical villain. So we never really figure out the order here, but do we want to,
I'll go.
You'll get B.
Sure.
Go for it. Yay.
Most diabolical villain for me, Alan Rickman in Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
Just a bad dude. Lust for this woman, so he sends the other guy to jail in Australia and then wants to marry her daughter. It's all bad. It's bad all the way down.
Okay. That's interesting because I actually found him like the least diabolical villain in that movie at the end.
You're not a woman.
Okay. That's true. Should I go next or Sam? What do you say?
Whatever you prefer, sir.
Okay, I'll go next because I also have a character from Sweeney Todd as the most diabolical villain. And I gave it to Helena Bonham Carter for a portrayal of Nellie Lovett. You know, there were a lot of options I could have gone with here, but Nellie is
bad.
Her evil is chilling and bankrupt of any morality.
Yeah.
She views people as pure ingredients for her pies, which makes her the most diabolical villain of them all.
And sings about it.
Yeah. So, that's why I went with her.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sam, what do you got?
I hear that. I'm loving the Sweeney Todd train. I would have to go with Alan Rickman as well, just because of how calculated everything he does is. He's just, he separates Johnny Depp from his wife and he's just evil. And he's like, it's like the alternate universe of Snape or something like that. So I would have to go with Alan Rickman on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like upside down Snape.
He's a bad guy.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Our next category is most scary, shocking moment.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a bummer, but Lisa Bonet's death in Angel Heart is the most shocked I've been by a movie in a while. So, yeah, it's an impactful visual.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess I'll go next. So, none of these films I would classify as truly scary. And I watched each of these movies by myself at night with the lights pretty dim. There are certain films that, I couldn't handle that in that environment. But that said, Angel Heart, despite not being a straightforward horror film and more of a detective noir, throughout this film gave me a constant sense of dread, and the imagery was haunting throughout. But I will say, Lisa Bonet and Mickey Rourke's sex scene, aka Epiphany's death scene, was so haunting that it subverts our expectations of what this kind of scene could be. It begins as seemingly a romantic encounter, but it takes a horrifying turn with grotesque imagery, blood pouring from the ceiling, coating their bodies. It's like nothing I've ever seen in mainstream cinema, I'll say.
Yeah.
I've seen some things, but this was shocking and horrifying. So I give it, same as you, B, I give it to the scene here.
I hear that. For me, I was not truly shocked, but in terms of just pure like the scariest moment for me, which is sort of the best that I could think of. Honestly, it was going to go to the Descent to Hell and Angel Heart, but I think for me, what topped it is the opening of Crimson Peak when the ghost comes into the child's bedroom and you see the shadow around the corner. I have literally had dreams like that. And it gets that nightmare feeling so on the nose and so accurate for me that I was immediately chilled. And for that opening scene, that's why I was excited to watch the rest of the movie, because I knew there was going to be more ghost stuff. And so I was like deliciously like, oh man, what's it going to be like next? Like I was anticipating the fear.
And good hallways.
Yes, hallways. Oh my God. Yeah.
Hallways are just spooky all
the time. You got one behind you, Nathan.
Audience.
Don't turn around.
To the audience, Google Hat Man, the Hat Man, a figure seen in dreams around the world, universal dreams. I've seen him in my dreams. It's a phenomenon. It's this terrifying thing. Yeah.
I'm writing this down.
Or don't, because then it enters your dreams. I will not. I don't need extra trauma to my sleep schedule. We're going to move on to our third category, which is best death or kill. B.
For me, it's Mrs. Lovett. Just thrown into the furnace in a dance and a surprise. And I love that twist.
Yeah, I considered that one as well. I wrote that one down. I crossed it out.
Ooh, who topped it?
But I am going back to Sweeney Todd, and I think I mentioned it in the episode because I didn't realize when I started watching it, it was an R-rated film. And when the first death happens, it really surprised me. And I love it when Johnny Depp bashes in Adolfo Pirelli's head in, who I think is brilliantly played by Sacha Baron Cohen, and then slits his throat. And I was like, whoa. It's the first on-screen murder. It is brutal. And I think your pick is great, B. And I thought about going with that, but something about that first kill that comes out of nowhere, because I didn't know what I was in for.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of good options.
And I think it's a great, very just barbaric kill in that film. So I went with that.
I love it.
Boy, there's so many. Sweeney Todd is so full of just excellent, brutal murders. I will say, and it was really tough because I too was going to go with her being thrown into the furnace in Sweeney Todd, especially because you can hear her yelling after she's on fire. It's really disturbing. I would say for the sheer brutalness of it, I got to go with Tom Hiddleston's knife to below the eye in Crimson Peak, just because that is just a horrible death, like to the point where you can see it like registers on him and then you can see him losing consciousness. It was like anatomically, realistically brutal. I was like, oh God. Yeah. So that one, I got to go with that one.
Yeah, that's a great choice too.
All right. Good picks. Okay, we are going to go on to our fourth category, our Scene Stealer Award. B, what do you got?
I have really enjoyed De Niro chewing at the set pieces a little bit.
Yeah.
Him with that hard-boiled egg. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, that's a good. That's not a bad pick. I will admit, up until right before we started recording, I had no answer for this. Do I have to pick somebody or can I pick something, a thing?
I think you can pick a thing. Yeah, we've done that before.
Because I'll be honest, I feel like the supporting cast in these three movies, I was not bedazzled by a lot of it. I think Robert De Niro is good in it, but he's really doing his thing.
Yeah, he's funny.
And it wasn't like he didn't come in and just like blow me away with a performance. He was just kind of doing it. And there was nobody in Crimson Peak that did that, or really, I don't know. So, man, I don't know, but I think the set for Crimson Peak, the manor, is such, and I don't always like saying this, but it is a character in this movie. And this movie would not be nearly of the quality that It is. And I didn't have the highest regard for it, but it is such a great location. And I know it was constructed specifically for this movie. I think it was torn down right afterwards. It is one
Well,
of the
good, there's a
greatest
strong
set
ghost
pieces
there.
ever for a film I've seen. And it's the only location of these three movies and one of the few that I've ever seen in the film where I want to go there. And I wish I could just explore that place. And I would sleep there overnight totally if I could. So I want to give it to the Alroad Man or whatever it's called in Crimson Peak. That's the best I could do because I was not swept away by any of the supporting performances in these three movies. I'm sorry, guys.
So this might have to do with the fact that of who he is outside the movies, but I would have to go with Sacha Baron Cohen in Sweeney Todd when he has his musical number about shaving and he comes out of that tent. I mean, that was just a very it was wink, wink, but it was a lot of fun. And he just was I thought he was perfectly cast. And I just remember seeing that in the theater. And that was a big, ladies and gentlemen, Sacha Baron Cohen in a perfect moment in a perfect role in a Tim Burton movie. That really stood out to me.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go with him. Yeah.
Career. He's so colorful in that movie. Everything is so desaturated, which is, I go back and forth on liking it or not liking it and being distracted by it. But he's so colorful.
Yeah. He's like a
jarring
jack in the box of color, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're moving on to our fifth category. And this is one that we have never done before because we've never had the opportunity to. Because what a special treat we had with these three movies that had all these.
There's another common theme.
Had a common theme of incest. Yeah. And B, you point out before this movie that even Sweeney Todd had a little bit of a tie-in to it with Joanna and Alan Rickman. I never even really put that together, but what was the tie-in again?
Gross. He adopted her as
He
his
adopted
daughter
her and he's going to marry her.
And wanted to marry her. That's the whole thing.
Wow.
Gross.
Wow. Who knew that we were doing Gothic horror incest movies?
Gross. Who picked this?
So, our award is best or worst incest.
For me, it goes back to Angel Heart, the Lisa Bonet twist at the end. Zoinks.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm giving this to as well. Harry Angel sleeping with his daughter, Epiphany Proudfoot. Number one, we actually get to see the incest on screen. So points for that. And it's kind of the most memorable scene in the movie. And when you find out that she's his daughter, it's a real guffaw moment. Whereas when you find out that Thomas and Lucille are sleeping together, I was kind of sure, that figures, in Crimson Peak. So yeah, this is totally Angel Heart for me as well.
Sam.
I totally hear that. I mean, that one is particularly gruesome. I would go with Alan Rickman and Joanna, even though he doesn't actually, engage in incest. Just the fact that he's trying to marry her and he's watching her through the keyhole in the door is the creepiest. And then that creepy song where he's trying to look his best for her and
Pretty women.
Yeah, powder off his jacket. You're just oh God, this disgusting bastard. So that really made an impression on me.
Yeah. It is gross. He's so slimy.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to our 6th category, which is our best haunted house favorite set.
I think we know your answer, Nathan.
Maybe.
Okay. Mine is definitely Crimson Peak. I think it's gorgeous. It's interesting. It's dynamic. It changes as the movie goes on. I like a set where you can really dig into the corners of it and expect that someone has laid something there for you to find. So 100%, this feels the most lived in and richly textured of all the sets for me.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is a great category because what I can say is that, every one of these films has, I think, great production design and great set pieces. And I want to say, I thought this was going to be a tough choice because I sincerely do appreciate the look and design of Sweeney Todd. And in Angel Heart, I think every location that we go to is haunting,
Mhm.
but it's got to go to Allerdale Hall from Crimson Peak, like I just said a moment ago, for all those reasons. It's the framework of the movie. I love about it. It's not all about creating an eerie atmosphere. There, like I said, there's a sadness to it. It's beautiful, decaying manor out on the moors is riding away. It's got so much character, and it's the one location, like I said, that I wish that I could visit. Yeah.
Me too.
I don't really feel like I have a choice because the Crimson Peak set is just on a level of its own. So it has to be that by the laws of logic. But I'll give a shout out to I do like the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. So I like the upstairs where it's his shaving room with the slanted windows, and then the bakery below, then the basement and the dungeon. But the Crimson Peak set is just so damn memorable. It's I can't really say no to that.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd's like that whole manor has the like Dante
Yeah.
of thing, which is
Exactly.
cool. But I really like it was hard for me because I love the Louisiana piece of Angel Heart, but it's not really a set. It's just like this journey that he takes. It is so well done,
Right.
though. It was hard for me. Yeah.
I hear that.
We're going to get to our 7th category.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Best spooky prop.
Doo-doo-doo. There's good
This is
choices
interesting.
here.
Yeah, a lot of good ones
The
here.
gramophone. There's all kinds of stuff. I went back and forth on this because there's some really cool stuff with the voodoo. I did think maybe the chickens, but I landed with the razors because they're so iconic. They're, I felt, Sam, the way you did about Crimson Peak. I'm like, these are just so the thing, just felt textbook. It was hard. It was like, oh, it has to be this.
The razors in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Does he actually? He does shave it. By the way, I don't know, are people watching at home? Sam, you look a little different. You have the beard. Speaking of razors, when you shave, do you use the straight edge like Sweeney Todd, or what do you do?
I did not shave. I got it at Supercuts. I just added that. I said, "Could you get rid of the beard?" And they did it.
Did they use the straight? They use the straight edge.
They used like a electric, like it was like,
Oh.
and it just like took it off in like a second. Because if I was using my razor, it would take a long time because I had a lot of beard to get rid of.
It's not very Gothic.
No, not Gothic at all. No.
When I used to go to a barber, and I've never had a straight edge shave, but they would do a straight edge around my sideburns, like over my ears. They would do like the shaving cream, and they do that around there. It made me nervous. Him kind of going all around my ears and around in this area here around my. It was odd. I don't know if you ever had a straight edge shave before as well.
I had the straight edge shave once, like 20 years ago, in this like really nice like barber shop. They were very like proper, and they referred to me as Mr. Cole.
It's
that was fun, yeah.
It's the one thing that makes me. It's the only experience that I was ever like, man, I wish I was a man and I could have that, because I don't get to have that, and I wish I did.
I wish I was a god, but that'll never happen.
Well, keep dreaming.
Just joking. I'm happy to be a human.
Well, I guess it'd be to me for best spooky prop. So lots of options. I'm going to go with the elevator from Angel Heart. I don't know if it's so much a prop. It could be a prop, it could be a set piece. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what I do know is that the imagery of the elevator is teased throughout the movie, creating, this incredible sense of dread. Where does it lead? It's one of those vintage manually operated cage style elevators commonly found in older buildings. And it's always shot, backlit, which is haunting, but I'm going to call it a prop because it's kind of used in the service as a prop. So I love every time we get that imagery of the elevator in Angel Heart. It's a symbol of his madness, where he's going, and I love how it's used, and it's very effective in Angel Heart. So yeah, the elevator.
Yeah, it's a good call.
I totally hear that. I found the elevator really terrifying, like creepy. I too would have to go with Sweeney Todd's razors because of how iconic they are, but they literally also have their own music cue. Like every time you see the razors, there's like music that accompanies it. So it's like it has its own. They have their own soundtrack. So I got to go with the razors, and just because he uses them so many times, and you see them in a lot of close-ups, it's like it's essential to his. It's an extension of his being. The razors are very like character oriented.
An extension of his arm, as we know in the song.
Edward Scissorhands, you know.
All right, our 8th category: favorite twist ending. And each one of these does have a little bit, attempts a twist ending.
Yes.
But B, what have you got?
I think it, just because it's the twistiest, it has to go to Todd. The other two, I don't think, hid their hand as well as Sweeney Todd.
I agree 100%. It was a category that I considered a little bit, but I landed also on Sweeney Todd because it's the only one that I felt stuck the landing, stuck the twist. The twist came, it came in from learning that the beggar woman is, Todd's wife all along. And in his madness, he slits her throat, kills her. I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't know that's who she was. I was caught off by this. And whereas the other films, the twist was either telegraphed from the start, or I don't think it was executed well. So I agree.
I would have to go exactly the same. I have to go with Sweeney Todd as well, because it's a great twist, and it's also so painfully tragic that if he had just altered course a little bit, he could have found her, and like they could have had another chapter together in their lives, and like Helena Bonham Carter messed that all up for them. I do want to give a shout out. This is definitely not the best twist ending. I'm just trying to crowbar it in somewhere. Secondary shout out to the elevator descent to hell at the end of Angel Heart, because I just found that imagery and him arriving in the darkness of hell and being silhouetted, not really a twist, but just, man, that was scary. But Sweeney Todd twist ending, absolutely.
All right. We have just a couple left here. I think 2 or 3. So we have the Wing Woman, Wingman Award. This is, what character would you want to be your wingman and wingwoman on a date?
This is so hard for me because I didn't think there were a lot of that kind of characters in these movies.
Just got to have fun with this one, I say.
Yeah. I think maybe Edith from Crimson Peak. But I think she might be scoffing at me trying to date the whole time. She'd be like, "This is stupid."
Robert De Niro as Louis Cypher. My guess is that Lucifer as my wingman, I'm sure would attract a lot of attention. He's got a lot of charisma and confidence. He's got a great sense of humor. There's a lot of allure to him. The ladies would be swarming around us. So what's eternal damnation for, a fun night out on the town?
Okay.
I'll take the elevator ride.
I would have to go with Edith's father from Crimson Peak, because he's an honorable gentleman and he would be a good wingman. And if he sensed someone had like a shady character that I was dating, he'd be like, "Sam, I don't know about her." Like, I just feel like he would be a good person to have at the, as my wingman. Plus, I attend lots of upscale events, so I'd be right at home. Just kidding.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. Our 10th category.
These characters, man. These characters. I don't know.
Your favorite.
They might be bad dudes.
Our most important award, our Fallout Shelter Award. This award is, the character that we would most want to save, invite into our fall shelter to help, we want to bring into the post-apocalyptic times because they have value, in the future. That's why they need to come with us. It's not necessarily to repopulate the Earth, but because they are needed. They offer something.
As the Force ghost of Anthony Ambrosino, I'll say, don't go back on your word. Don't go back on what it says in the text. You want to find someone to repopulate the Earth. You know what you meant. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it would be very hard for us to fulfill our mission because I'm once again going with Edith from Crimson Peak. I think our mission searching for a date for me fails spectacularly, and I'm left alone with Mia.
Here's the problem. There are just the tiniest handful of characters across these movies that I could tolerate to be in the same room with, let alone share a confined space with, let alone, unleash into a new world to repopulate the human race. For instance, like Anthony and Joanna, are some, but honestly, I didn't like them very much.
They're sort of boring,
Oh my God. First of all, in a post-apocalyptic world, they wouldn't stand a chance if they ran into like Lord Humongous. They'd be dead. All right.
Lord Humongous.
I feel so bad saying that the actor who played what's the kid's name in Sweeney Todd?
Jamie Campbell Bower.
I don't know.
Yeah. To me, he seems like in that movie, he seems like a RISD student that like Tim Burton just like plucked out of class and like, you have really good facial expressions. So just look at the camera with like gawky eyes, like
gawky eyes. You guys are the worst.
So, and the other two are like Edith, played by Mia Wasikowska, and her dad, Carter Cushing, played by Jim Beaver, both honest stand-up people. And just to butt convention, to prove I'm not going to just pick the young, attractive female, I'm going to save Carter Cushing because he has moral integrity, a moral compass. He's intelligent. He has leadership qualities, and he's compassionate and caring, and we need that for the future.
I would have to say, I would like to save Jessica Chastain's character because she, as long as you're like really loyal to her, she'd keep me on my toes, and I find that kind of interesting, and it'd be like fun and kind of scary. So I'm all about inviting her in. Yeah.
I'm scared for your life.
I don't want to yuck anyone's yum here,
So Lucille. From
what's important is the cast of Crimson Peak.
Okay. Yeah, really. We need to save them.
We need them all. Yeah.
They might have a hard time once they find each other in our shelter.
All right. Finally, this has been a lot of fun. Let's rank these three films.
Okay. Sweeney, Crimson Angel. Easy peasy for me.
I'm ranking these Angel Heart, might surprise, Sweeney Todd, Crimson Peak.
Fascinating. I would go Sweeney Todd number 1, Crimson Peak a close second, and Angel Heart a far away distant third.
Really?
So that was
Sweeney, Crimson, and then Angel.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so you and B had the same, and mine was very different.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Individuality is important. We celebrate ideas here at Back to the Frame Rate.
All right, let's take just a quick break here. We'll come back with some of our things that we've been watching this October.
Do I know you?
No, but you doubted me.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
No need to leave yet.
But I'm late.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come. Be my victim.
All right. It's spooky season, and we are going to talk about some of the movies that we've watched.
Is that
this October.
Candyman?
Yes, it's Candyman.
Yes.
We've already said it twice. We can't say it anymore. Was it 3 times or 5 times?
Right. Let's say 3. Just be careful.
I think it's 3 times. Is it Beetlejuice? We can't say 3 times, right?
Beetlejuice is 3. For sure.
But the movie we should not say for a 3rd time we just talked about, is it also 3 times?
I think maybe. I don't remember. Sam,
Okay.
do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I was
so
about
helpful.
to mention a horrible name to say 3 times, then I thought better of it because I was like, no, don't do that, man. It's like that'll be edited out, but yeah.
All right, a few things that we've seen this past October because I'm trying to catch up on some movies. Want to tell us about anything you've seen this past month? Any scary movie catching up you've done?
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to see Terrifier 3 in theaters. So I started watching because this series just like totally went past me. I never saw it. I'm not sure how I can even call myself a horror fan. I never clocked onto Art the Clown. So I watched the first Terrifier. I really had a good time with it. So I'm excited for the second and the third. That has been fun. And you guys know I got to fulfill a little movie nerd dream thanks to Mubi releasing The Fall from
Oh, yeah.
2006. Oh my gosh. I know, Nathan, you've talked about it before, but that is just a very visually arresting movie, and I'm so glad I was finally able to see it.
I'm glad I heard that it was coming to Mubi that was announced months and months ago, but I'm glad that it's finally there. I have not seen this on anything other than a poor quality version that I acquired somehow.
Ahoy.
And I can't wait to see this and movie probably I think it's a 4K
4K.
restoration. That is really exciting to me. I need to block off some time to see it
That's
as soon as
beautiful.
possible. I'm really excited. Sam, I don't think you've seen this yet, I think me and B cannot recommend this
Yeah.
enough.
The Fall.
The
Yeah,
Fall,
you'd like
not
it.
Fall.
Not Fall. Not Fall. I actually just Googled The Fall, and because then I recognized the photo because you were talking about that in Messenger earlier this week. So I will definitely check that out.
It
yeah.
is. It's on
Awesome.
Mubi right now. I don't know if you have a
Yeah.
Mubi account, but it is visually arresting.
Can you like get a Blu-ray of it? Like I'm all about taking the
that's what
risks
we're-
of buying things I haven't seen. I tend to do that sometimes.
That's what we're trying to figure out. So Mubi, they've guaranteed it's got the digital release and it's in some select theaters right now. I know it's an Alamo Draft House. I know the Coolidge
Oh, cool.
at least was playing it, but they haven't really confirmed any physical release. But if it's Mubi, I think it would be the UK. So
Oh, okay. It'd be, the difference in the systems. Yeah.
So but Mubi, you can get a 7-day free trial with Prime. So you should do that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta imagine that if it's come to this point where it's getting this digital 4K,
so.
it's gonna come to physical or digital. It's gonna be available at some point. Not
I
too
think
far
so.
out.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out. I'm actually looking forward to that.
I think you'll love it, Sam. I really think you will.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? I just decided just now, and it's the small things that make my life really happy, but I have an unopened pad. The only thing that I'm going to write on this pad are movie titles that I haven't seen, because if I write it on my iPhone or on another thing, it's going to get mixed in with a bunch of stuff. But you guys recommend all these good movies to me, and I've got these notes all over the place that I can't find. This is my designated pad for the movies. And
that's a good idea.
I'm really happy about that.
I love it. You've got a watch list pad.
I got a watch list pad. Yay!
I love it.
That's exactly how I felt, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
For you, Sam.
I wholeheartily appreciate that. Was awesome.
I'm gonna plug one more thing I've seen because it's interesting. So I just was treated to like some great visuals this week. And I've done my usual spooky season watches, and that's been fun. But I finally got around to watching Problemista by Julio Torres. And
I've seen 30 minutes of that and highly enjoyed it. Then I had to go, but it like just that scene where he's like crawling around in like a box where it's like and that overbearing person that he works for. I've been in that experience, and that was actually triggering for me. I was like, oh my God, the memories. I was someone's assistant once, and I was like, no.
So for people like myself and maybe other listeners, what is Problemista? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, Problemista is a great movie, and it's directed by Julio Torres, and he stars in the movie as a young man who's working to get his visa, his green card, so that he can continue to work in the United States. And so he's sort of going from job to job and struggling under the system. It stars Tilda Swinton as his boss. We also get treated to seeing RZA in this movie, which is really fun. It has some of the most inventive visuals I've seen in a long time. It is totally playing with the medium. It's creative and playful and fun. And these are, if you followed Julio Torres for any amount of time, those are adjectives that are easy to associate with him. So I would definitely give it a watch.
All right.
That's awesome. This is not horror at all. It's not really in the season, but this past week I was at the 25th anniversary of the Newport Beach Film Festival. And there was the world premiere of a movie directed by Simon West starring Christoph Waltz called Old Guy. And I saw that film. And so premiered there. I think it's getting either a theatrical or streaming release in the spring of 2025. Christoph Waltz was there. He received an Icon Award, gave a very compelling speech. I really enjoyed the movie. It certainly does not, break the mold. I mean, it has very typical tropes of he's an aging hitman, and actually, oh my God, Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, is the new cool young hitman that's much better than Christoph Waltz, all shot in Northern Ireland. I actually really enjoyed the movie. I thought the characters were good. Familiar territory. We've seen this plot before, but I just thought the characters were really interesting. I was enjoying it the whole time. I liked how the story unfolded. And it was just, it was a lot of fun to watch. So it's certainly not a Halloween. It's not seasonally appropriate, but wherever it comes out next year, I personally recommend it. I enjoyed it. And plus, I'll say really quick. Simon West always his direction was more subdued and focused on characters, but he's so good with this over the top action, like he did in Con Air. And so I was like, where's his signature action? Of course, towards the middle and end, explosive action. I was like, there's the Simon West that I know. So it gave me what I wanted to see.
How was Cooper Hoffman in it? Because I liked him a lot in Licorice Pizza, and I think that he has a lot of potential.
I thought he was really, really good. And I think that it was a smart move for him to be in this movie, because he's in a movie with, Christoph Waltz, big star. Also, I think however the movie does, financially, I think that Cooper Hoffman did a great job. And I think his decision was sort of bulletproof, meaning whatever happens to this movie, he's such a good actor that I think that he's going to continue to do other films. I recognize his name, but I didn't recognize him at first, because the last time I saw him was in Licorice Pizza in 21.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. Yeah.
And so, and he was 17. Now he's early 20s. He looked different, but I was just cool. I'm like, oh, cool. He's in another movie. I think he's going to be around for a while, and his acting was great. So I think we'll be seeing him a lot more.
Awesome.
Good.
This is the journey I want for Dominic Sessa.
Yes. I hear that.
Yeah. All right, a few things that I saw. I've taken kind of an unconventional route to catching up on some horror films, seasonal films. I saw Mothra versus Godzilla, which is
nice.
a 1964 Toho movie. I go through the whole.
Weren't you about to cancel Apple Plus, but then that awesome Godzilla show came out on it or something, and then you're like, was that you? Or
I did.
That was a year ago, but yeah.
I still have my Apple TV subscription, and I don't watch a lot on it, and I don't really know if I should keep it or not. But as I've mentioned, maybe on the podcast before, I did get the Showa era Criterion box set, and I'm kind of going through it slowly. I'm really milking these, but I'm on to the fourth film in the franchise. Mothra versus Godzilla is a very, very underrated film in that franchise. It is the last time Godzilla is really a heel, as a bad guy in for a long time. He does kind of come back to that later on, maybe in Godzilla 1985 or in some later era films. But this is the last time before he becomes like a really kid-friendly hero, right?
Right.
He becomes like a cuddly, stuffed animal after this. And it's a really iconic, kaiju versus movie. Right before this was King Kong versus Godzilla, which is the movie that a lot of people, think of, but it's nowhere near as good as this one. It's got great special effects. It's one of the best of the whole series when it comes to the suits that they made for this and the special effects that they made for this. Not many people ask me about my opinions on Godzilla movies, but if I had to point to one from this era that is not the original Godzilla, I'd say this is definitely the top 3 of these Showa era films
Wow,
to
cool.
check out. So it is a really good one. It's one of my favorites.
Now, Nathan, you've seen that before, I imagine?
I've
'Cause you've
seen
like all
every
of them,
Godzilla
right?
movie
Yeah.
several times. Not
Okay.
all of them more than like 3 times or so, but a lot of them many times, like 10 times or more. But this is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Another one that I saw, and this is the last one I'll mention. I caught up with Lisa Frankenstein. I think you've seen this.
Did you like it?
Oh my God, this was so much fun. And this
Weird science.
was last night. I'm like, I just gotta throw something on. It's a 98-minute movie. I wanted to just catch up on something seasonal. This was so much fun. Just funny. And it reminded me a little bit of a movie from maybe 10 years ago called Warm Bodies.
Yes.
This was so much better though.
Yeah.
And it takes place in 1989. Many times movies that are trying to like put itself especially in the 80s, it's really overdoing the 80s-ness of it. But for some reason, this movie was so smart about it. And it's referencing the 80s, but it's one of the best scripts I've read. And I think it's Diablo Cody, who sometimes is not everyone's jam. I get that. But this was so much fun. I don't usually laugh out loud by myself at comedies, but I almost woke up my household laughing at this movie. It was just a blast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. I think it's really fun.
It's just the craziest, obscure. What is that? It's not going for the lowbrow, like low-hanging fruit comedy that everybody can think of from the 80s. It's making the most obscure references to like Days of Our Lives characters, to just the things that like, oh, I remember that, but probably 9 out of 10 people might not have picked up on that joke from the 80s, but a small group of people would. There's a great joke about the Cure in it, that not joke, but like the character who comes back to life starts listening to a Cure record, and the character says, the Cure won't cure you, but it will cure you in here, or something like that. And I don't know, the way it was just delivered just had to be cracking up, because like this was like, I remember living through 1989 when the Cure were like the peak of their powers, and I was not like dressing up all gothy like a lot of the real Cure fans were, but I just remember the sentiment around that culture, and it just tickled me, this movie. And
I thought the Pabst joke was hilarious.
The what joke?
The Pabst joke.
Yeah.
I was like,
yes, the Pabst. Yes.
I
recommend this movie highly. I'm sad that this did not, was not a bigger hit in the box office. I hope that this movie gets discovered, one time. I think it should. It was really good. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Yeah. All right. So, it's getting a little late, but I just want to see, is there anything this month coming up in November that we're excited for? I can look at our list here. There is at least one movie that we all share something that we're all excited for.
Does it have Denzel Washington in it?
It has Denzel Washington, Paul Mescal in it. Ooh. And yes, it's Gladiator 2.
I'm of like, no surprises here. Of course, I'm excited for that. But one thing that now I don't know, but I have a feeling it might do really well. And this is just a small indicator, but when I went and saw Megalopolis at the Man's Chinese Theater, the audience, a lot of them was like 18 to 22-year-olds. And there was a Gladiator 2 trailer. And all the young people cheered for it. Yeah. And I was surprised. I was like, wow, I didn't know that you guys would be interested in a sequel to something that's like 24 years old.
I think
But
the marketing's been incredible, and
yeah,
I think Gladiator holds up for two reasons. One, it's just a great movie, and I
yeah,
think it's
God, I
had
love it.
staying
Yeah.
power. It's just a really good movie, and Ridley Scott keeps making movies, so if anyone wants to discover his films, they're going to find that. But I also think it's one of the last like TV movies. Like if you are of an age where you grew up at home and cable was on, you might have just kind of seen Gladiator
Mm.
in pieces.
The other thing too I love about Gladiator is like I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan as a visualist. I think we can all agree that like his visuals are always good, and sometimes the stories in like the storytelling in his movies is a little muddled. Not all the
Mhm.
time, but Gladiator has the visuals, and the story is just crystal clear. It's like
Yeah.
vengeance, fall from grace. Like it's so
It's simple.
focused.
Yes.
It's simple. It's so simple, but it's like gloriously simple. And so
Mhm.
I just hope that this second one has a similar narrative thrust and doesn't get lost in a lot of like
Mm.
gobbledygook. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
good.
Well, I'll admit, early on in the year, I didn't even put this on my top 10 most anticipated films because I was kind of skeptical. The
Me
last,
too. Me
last
too. Yeah.
couple Ridley Scott films, I was not crazy about Napoleon. I thought was it The Duel? I thought it was
Mhm.
decent. I didn't love it. He has not made anything that I've been like absolutely just bonkers over in a while. And I was like you, Sam, I was kind of worried that it was going to be kind of a messy film. And I don't know. I mean, I'm so in awe that was he 84? I don't know how old he is. He's up there.
Yeah.
That this guy
Damn. Yeah.
can make such a large spectacle movie at 84 and get this budget after he's had so many real financial flops for a long time. I don't know what his
Mhm.
maybe The Martian was the last successful movie he's made that's been critically,
Did some Gucci make it?
commercially really super successful.
Gucci was less successful. Did
Yeah.
okay,
That
but
did
not.
not.
But Martian was big. Yeah.
Martian was
Martian,
big.
that might have been, and that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. And when I saw a new trailer, I haven't seen many trailers lately, but I saw a new trailer for it when I saw Joker 2 last week, and I got pumped for it, seeing that new trailer for it, and I was like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
in, I am in. So yeah, I am
His
excited.
action and visuals are amazing. The energy of the action
Mhm.
set pieces in his movie, it's like he's forever has the mentality of like a young director who's just like going for the huge visuals and the bang and stuff like that. I think he makes so many movies because I think he said this in an interview. He feels relaxed. He feels happiness and most relaxed when he's on a film set. It actually relaxes him. So I think he's a workhorse because he prefers doing that. I
Mhm.
think it's the time in between movies where he's like, I got to do another one. I'm just guessing.
Mhm.
I do not know him, but like, I mean, I'm a huge fan, you
He
know.
does not stop. Well, Gladiator 2 comes out November 22nd, just before Thanksgiving. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
I
interest in the Robert Zemeckis here? I'm kind of looking forward to that just because it's the two reunite Tom Hanks
Yeah.
reuniting with Robin Wright Penn and all that. Yeah,
I
Mhm.
don't. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll just say quickly. I've been kind of cool on Zemeckis in the
Mhm.
last 10
Same.
years. You know,
Same.
me too. He hasn't. I love earlier Zemeckis the stuff he's like what was the one with Steve Carell? The Marlin Man
yeah.
or that was all right.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Marwin. That was okay, but it was like
I have to tell you that Pinocchio made me more irate than movies usually do. I was so worked up about how much I hated Pinocchio. I could
I
do a
hear
whole
that. I haven't
podcast
seen
on
it.
it.
I think I'm interested in here just because like it's literally for the most part one camera angle the whole movie,
Cool.
like it's told from one shot, but it's about the family. But I saw in the trailer that it starts in that spot like a million years before the story starts. So you'll see like
Mm,
dinosaurs and like
that's
creatures walking
cool.
around. And so I just like that Robert Zemeckis always does really interesting visual technical things, even in his lesser movies. So I'm like, what visuals does he have up his sleeve with this one? So that's kind of the hook for me.
I'm interested in the performances too, because I feel like he lets his actors kind of just do what their interpretation often.
Yeah.
And he's got a great cast here. Like, I love Robin Wright. I'm excited for that. I love that she's had a bit of a renaissance in the last 10 years. So, yeah.
Paul Bettany. I haven't seen Paul Bettany in something
Since the Johnny Depp trial.
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
The last I know of Paul Bettany was like when he was in Solo, that Ron Howard took over direct, where he was like the villain in that. I don't remember seeing him in anything after that.
He's been in the Marvel universe a little bit, right?
That's right.
Vision, but I'm trying to think I've seen him perform in something. It's been a while. Yeah. Anything else here? I see you wrote something on here, B, that I almost wrote down, and that is Blitz, the new Steve McQueen movie. I do like Steve McQueen as a director, as a filmmaker. This is about the raids in the UK or London in World War II. Saoirse Ronan, I think, is in this. I like her as an actress a lot. So this is something that I'm also very interested in.
I loved the Lovely Bones that she was in, directed by Peter Jackson. I love that movie, and a lot people really don't like it that much.
Hated it, and it's good.
Love it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm with you, Sam.
I am not cold on it. I saw that, and I remember everyone hating on it. I'm like, this is not terrible. I didn't take much away from it, but I don't remember much about it. But
I hear that it just hit me in a strong way. I think because it mixes a lot of genres, so people are like, "What the heck is this?" But for me, I was just like, "Oh,
I like that movie. Yeah." I haven't seen that since it probably close to when it came out. Anyway.
All right. Well, we're about at the 1 hour mark, so I think we're probably good to wrap this up. This has been a lot of fun talking about our Gothic Horror retrospective and the films we've watched and what we're looking forward to this November. So again, tune in for our next episode next week, where we're going to begin a whole new franchise, 1970s hard-boiled detective noir. And something I have not mentioned yet, and I was going to do it early in the show and I forgot about it, but stay tuned for more. We announced it last week, but we are going to be doing on January 10th of the new year, our live show, our 100th episode, Back to the Frame Rate 100th episode spectacular. I have actually already cut a new promo for it, which will be dropping soon, which I'm excited about. But don't worry, you're going to be bombarded with promotions and announcements about that. So I'm not going to waste everyone's time right now about it, but it's more to come. Really excited for that. We all are. Please come out to that event. There's going to be more links in the show notes for that event. So I think that wraps it up for tonight. Yeah, sound good?
Thanks, everyone.
That's our show this week. Back to the Frame Rate. It's part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the fallout shelter. Your presence in our underground sanctuary is truly appreciated. While you cannot join us in the underground, we thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite platform. For more episodes, visit at backtotheframerate.com and follow us on our socials at Back to the Frame Rate. Your support brightens our bunker. Until next time, stay with us, keep hope alive, and share our show with your friends. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.